Good morning. Good afternoon, Heather.
Hi there.
Hey. All right. My name is Fernando Pimentel. I'm from BehindTheGloves.com. And basically, I want to talk about your transition from boxing into MMA and what you've learned so far in the two matchups that you've had so far in MMA compared to what you've learned in boxing.
Right. I've learned that not everything in boxing really translates well in the cage because you introduce things like throws, kicks, all the other things. Like you can't really duck down the throw, obviously, after my last fight. Slipping really isn't the best idea. You don't want to have your head, as much as you want to move your head, you don't want to move it into a kick or something. So I'm learning that not everything translates.
Okay, you did very well against Alex Yeager, actually, in Madison Square Garden in your pro debut. You did slip some kicks and punches during that fight. As you stated, it was the Christina Williams fight where you slipped a punch or a feint, and she actually got to kick you in the nose and somewhat break it, which ended the fight. In this fight, you're actually fighting a fellow MMA fighter who is also a fellow boxer. Talk to us what the difference is going to be in this fight compared to the Christina Williams fight.
Well, one thing I learned after my last fight was that I don't want to expect too much out of someone. Like, expect someone to do something. I don't want to expect that Anna is just going to come in with fast hands and superior boxing because, you know, that makes me neglect all the other parts of what could happen inside the cage. So, while I know that I do have to respect her boxing, I'm fully prepared to go in there with kicks and grappling and everything else as well.
Let's talk about that because you've said before your fight against Christina Williams that you wanted to focus more on your ground game and your jiu-jitsu, but we have yet to honestly really see that. How hard has it been in the gym or during training to let go or forego some of your boxing to work more on that?
It's that's been the focus, my focus, to stop trying to bring everything back to boxing, right? Like my first two camps, it was a matter of, it was like our strategy was no matter what the situation is, try to bring it back to a boxing, stand up on your feet, boxing range, and it didn't work last time, and I realized I really needed other tools in my arsenal to go out there and be able to put forth the best fight. So for this fight, it's been about what can I do besides box.
Okay. How welcoming has Bellator been to you? They seem to have made you, or they seem to have put the focal point on you when it comes to their women's division. They've already showcased you twice. You've fought twice, as stated, with the Yeager and Christina Williams. Again, you're fighting Anna during a televised fight on a heavyweight Grand Prix main event fight. So how do you feel and how welcoming Bellator has been?
Oh, I almost say it's like Bellator is like going to your grandma's house. They feed you good. They let you rest. Like everything's been so nice working with Bellator. I can't complain. But one thing I will say is they take such good care of all their athletes, all their girls. They do such a nice job promoting. They always got cards stacked with female talent. So it's not that I feel like isolated and especially lucky, but they treat all their athletes really well.
And what do you think about the heavyweight Grand Prix that Bellator is having? Obviously, a couple of weeks ago in Los Angeles at the Forum, they had Sonnen versus Rampage. You're going to be on this card, and obviously it's going to be main evented by Roy Nelson versus Matt Mitrione. So what are your thoughts of the heavyweight Grand Prix and the names that they have?
Well, I think it's really exciting to be able to be a part of this. Everyone's going to be watching, everyone's tuning in. So I'm just excited to kind of be able to piggyback on everybody who's going to get to see them guys.
Okay. Going back to you and going back to how everything is going with MMA, are you now more comfortable being an MMA fighter or MMA star on the Bellator roster. At any point in time, do you ever think you'll go back to boxing?
I'm probably going to box in April, but I'm going to box in April because I love it. I have dual contracts. I'm boxing and doing MMA, so after this fight, we'll kind of start looking at a boxing date probably.
Okay, that's cool. That's very cool. You've actually made strides in both MMA and boxing. Obviously, your last boxing match was on NBC Sports Network. It was televised. You got a lot of love and a lot of respect for that. You're obviously getting a lot of love and a lot of respect for jumping from boxing to MMA. Many people have done it before. Holly Holm, James Toney with not a lot of success. So we saw Roy Mercer do it versus Tim Sylvia. Just your thoughts overall as a boxer jumping into the MMA forte.
I didn't quite. I heard the whole thing, but I didn't quite understand what the question was.
The question is basically, you're a boxer who received a lot of love and respect for what you did and for what you've done in boxing, but you're getting it also in the MMA world. Holly Holm was one of the people that did it as well. She got it by fighting so many women that she's fought,
right.
Beating Ronda Rousey, fighting Miesha Tate. James Toney got some respect for it, but wasn't successful given that he lost to Randy Couture. The question really is, how have you been feeling about it? How have you seen your fans or fandom increase? How have you just embraced it all?
The sport of MMA has more fans, I think, than the sport of women's boxing. So I've seen a huge increase in my followers and in my fan base. But I think because I've been showcased a little bit more, I've put on television. Bellator uses their social media platforms and stuff to promote me. So, of course, there's been a big following and a lot of support I've gotten from them. So, I mean, it's like, how do I feel about it? It's great. That's all you want as an athlete, to be acknowledged for all the hard work you put in.
All right, and who are you working with as it pertains to your jiu-jitsu and ground game? What are the names that you're training with in the training camp?
I'm at Henzo Gracie Academy.
Okay. What has been probably? Oh, actually, no. We've already gotten to that. Talk to us about your opponent, Anna, and what you expect on her next week on the 16th on the Paramount Network.
Anna is an ex-world champion, a former WBO world champion in boxing. I'm certainly going to be watching out for those hands, but I'm ready for anything. I mean, like I said before, if I learned anything in my last fight, it's not to expect something out of a fighter, just be ready for whatever comes. So we've really spent the last camp preparing for whatever Anna is in front of us. She's going to be the one dealing with me, not me dealing with her.
Are you going to try to change up your game, and instead of expecting something or instead of just going into boxing stances, are you going to try to take her down? Are you going to try to use more movement, more lateral movement to move to the side?
No, I'm just going to beat her up.
You're just going to beat her up?
Yep.
The most famous line I think you probably said was after the first fight that your hands hurted from hitting her so much. Are you expecting that to happen again?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, your hands hurt anyway. Like, there was a funny line, but it was the truth because the gloves are so small and they don't really wrap your knuckles. So even after my last fight, my hands were killing me. Like, it hurts to punch people in the face.
Now, what led you into fighting? What led you into originally boxing and now MMA? What gave you that? What gave you that strength? Because if anyone has ever seen you fight boxing and or MMA, they've noticed that you're very vicious in there. You're pretty much, I think I've heard you been called the female Arturo Gatti. So what led you to that?
I don't know, man. I think that some people are born with that and some people are not. And God blessed me with the ability to get punched in the face and punch people back. And I was fortunate to find that when I was 28. My sister brought me a little gift certificate to go try a boxing gym, a kickboxing gym, and I went in and I was hooked. So, not everybody finds what their calling is, and I'm lucky and blessed that I did.
So you just basically found your calling. You found you found it just by going to try it out.
Yeah.
What do you say to young women, young females, young little girls that watch you and look at you and go, wow, she is getting beat up in there, but she's also giving a beating, and she doesn't quit. She doesn't stop. She keeps going forward. Well, what do you say to them?
Well, what I say to little girls who love to box and love to watch fighting is that they should never feel sorry that they're a little girl, and that just because now they might be the only little girl in the gym hitting the heavy bag, it's okay, and you don't have to feel like you don't belong there. You do belong, because we're little girls, but we can be fighters, we can be moms, we can be teachers, we can be all the things.
Since you said that, how is it? How is it being a mother and being a fighter? How have you been able to separate that?
You separate that the same way you separate being a mom and being a mailman, or being a mom and being a police officer, or being a mom and being a firefighter. Like, firefighters don't just, like, run around dumping buckets of water on people, right? Like, I don't
Correct.
fight the street. Like, I have home life and work life.
Okay. And where could people that hear this or people that read this get to follow you, get to know more about you, and get to just learn about Heather the Heat Hardy?
You can find me on Instagram at Heather the Heat, or on Twitter at Heather Hardy Buck.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time. I know you're extremely busy. You're getting ready for next week's fight versus Anna in, I believe, the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And it'll be on the Paramount Network. So thank you for your time, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Hey, fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking right here.